Welcome to a special edition of the M6P. This is our 10,000 follower episode. Woohoo!
Yay.
After many years of grinding with the M6P, we hit 10,000 followers on Facebook. So we thought we'd just get some contributors together and talk some M6P and do some reminiscing. Brings a little tear to my eye. So we got Andy here, and the Andy Kirby. We've got Darren. We've got Kevin, and we've got Jonathan, and myself, Jared. We're just gonna be talking some M6P stuff, super chill. So let's just go around. Like, tell us how you found the M6P. How did you get here? Anybody?
I'll go first. So one day, back in circa 2010 to 2013, I saw that Jared on his personal Facebook page had posted something comic book related, Marvel, and I jumped on it. I was like, "Hey man, I want to help," and he called me, gave me a call. It was actually a very professional conversation back then, much more than the way we talk to each other now. But that's where it started for me. Like I was already in digital marketing. I really enjoy doing digital marketing, and the fact that some guy I had talked to back in junior high about like comic book stuff, X-Men specifically, he had started this with Andy, and like I don't even know what the follower count was back then. Like,
Not very
I
high.
know this is about hitting 10K, but like maybe 1,000 around then. And it's taken quite a long time just to get here to 10K. It really has. Nobody has any idea. It's been a lot of work. I know it's just social media, but we put some work into that, man.
I just want to throw a little bit behind that with Darren is I saw Darren at the Gem City Comic Con in Dayton, Ohio. I saw him from the back and he was getting books, and I was like on a man on a mission. I was like, ugh, I need to reach out to him sometime. I don't have time to talk to him right now. And then I went home and I posted whatever. And then Darren reached out to me and I was like, I actually saw you. And he said, you didn't say hi? I was like, I know, I'm a jerk. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, guys, I've been a fan of Muscles by Mayo for about 4 years now. And I like to lube myself up every night and look at my greased up body in the mirror. And oh, wait, this is not the Muscles by Mayo 10K. Sorry. Yeah, I actually met Andy through work in Louisiana back in 2011 or 12, somewhere in that ballpark. I think it was 11 to 12. And he told me about a little podcast that him and a buddy of his had. It was the M6P, and the rest is history. I think I've been following you guys on Facebook since 13 or 14.
Whoa.
In that ballpark.
Wow.
So yeah, Andy and I have, we've known each other for a little minute, and the rest is history.
So I don't think I ever actually started following you guys. And
They followed you.
What I think happened is I had a Facebook account back in the day when you had to have like a college email address, and it was just a free text field to enter in what your likes were. And I think I had Marvel and politics next to each other with no comma. And then when it stopped being a flex field, I think they just made, oh, you like Marvel 616 politics. Okay. And so y'all just started showing up in my feed one day, and that was like before algorithms. So it's not like they would, like, you had to go out and find what you wanted to, but y'all were just in my feed. I saw y'all had podcasts. I was looking for a comic book related podcast to listen to. So I just started listening, and I mean, it was probably around episode 10 or so. And yeah, I've been with y'all since then. So
I don't know how you made it. I don't know how you made it. It's terrible.
Oh,
yeah, I don't
yeah.
put them out regularly, so it's I get a good break, a good palate cleanser in between.
Dude, I tell you, I mean, if that is a funny story. But they just put them next to each other, no comma.
Well, Well,
Uh,
I got into
well,
it
I'll go.
because
I'll go.
yeah, go for it, man.
Well, I mean, I could say the M6P found me, right? So like, I I was sitting there and I was like, oh man, like this is a really sad, embarrassing story. Is really what it is. I got into comics as a senior in high school, and when I actually had a job and I started waiting tables and everything, I used to walk across the street from a fine dining Italian restaurant with a bow tie and a tuxedo and everything. I would walk across the highway, like the 4-lane highway, to the comic shop and pick up Spider-Man and Peter Parker Spider-Man. And I would go back to school and I'd be like, guys, this is amazing. Have you seen this? And they're like, yeah, man. Like when we were in fourth grade, they were cool. And I was like, no, 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 this is so cool. And nobody to talk to. So then went to college, met Jared briefly, only a handful of times we crossed paths. Actually, he was a jerk to me one time at a field trip, and I was like, well, I don't like this guy. And he he threatened to push me over the barrier in a museum and set off the alarm. And he wasn't all
No proof of
but he
this.
still had all this bravado and gravitas. So
He was a supervillain when you met him.
correct. Then, I graduated, got married, moved down to Louisiana, and I was like, man, this podcast thing is awesome. And I listened to one podcast, and I was like, I would love to have a podcast with somebody about comic books. I got nobody to talk to. So I messaged Jared, I think on Facebook, and I was like, hey man, don't know if you remember me, but would you want to do a podcast on comic books? And Jared's like, sure, why not? And so yeah, we weren't even really friends at the time. But I can say that this podcast and what it has turned into with all the work that you guys have done on the Facebook page, on the YouTube, on all the socials, on the website and the articles and everything, that really led me to my best friend who I talk to and text almost every single day, and who has gotten me through some extremely hard times in my life. So yeah, comics are great, but this community, man, this is what it is, you know?
Wow. Well, I hope that best friend was me. Is that who you're talking about?
Well, I meant Jackie, but I mean, you're
Okay.
cool too.
Yeah, Andy and I just did not know each other in college at all. I met him. I was a transfer student, and I went over. He lived in a dorm called the Hill, and that's where all the rough Christians live. And and I went over there, and it was just like this is not. I was not the supervillain then. I was like the good guy, and I remember meeting him like one time, and then his girlfriend at the time invited me on a blind date with someone that was in her dorm. So like everybody in Andy's dorm and everybody in her dorm like switched up, and this girl didn't have a date. So I went with her as a ministry, like, oh, I'll go with the freshman. I'll do it or whatever. Well, I married her and Andy married Jackie. And so like he introduced me basically to my wife. But we lost contact. We didn't go to each other's weddings or anything like that. And then skip this. I mean, our first podcast, I'm on a cell phone like that flips out, and I'm talking on it, reading bootleg comic books on my computer, scrolling and talking to Andy, trying to record this podcast. And if you listen to the first few, they're just trash. They're terrible. So that's kind of how we all got connected. So you guys, this is how we got introduced to the M6P, but how did you become like a part of the M6P? Because, Darren, you're on officially, with Andy and I, as this is a 3-man show. And then we've got our contributors like Jonathan and Kevin and other guys. So how did you 3 kind of get more plugged in?
Anyone?
Me to go? Okay, I'll go first. So I don't know exactly the year or anything like that. I think my dreams of becoming a comic book writer had kind of fallen apart at that point in time, and I just started writing articles for various websites whenever they would let me do it. And I think y'all were wanting to boost up your website, and you had a post asking if anybody would like to contribute, and I messaged you and said, hey, what are y'all looking for? And I mean, a lot of guys have contributed, but I think I wrote most of the crap on there. So,
I mean,
Kevin, I don't mean
uh,
to interrupt you, but I just want to plug you. You wrote and written, I'm sorry, so many articles for us, like for the website. So many articles. Thank you.
yeah,
That's all.
thank you, man.
so I had a lot of fun doing it. It fulfilled a lot of my geek desires, and to write about something I enjoyed, and to be plugged into such a cool group of guys. That was to make friends. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I would say that you know, when Andy and I met at work back in the day, we started a podcast that was called Comic Book Cinema, and it only lasted for a few episodes, but it was kind of like the early seeds, you know. And then also Andy really introduced me, because I grew up, you know, I grew up collecting comics, and I was always a huge comic book movie fan. But Andy at that time, you know, really kind of nudged me into getting into comic books a little more. So that was kind of where the seeds were planted. And then I started following you guys in 2014 on social media. Fast forward, goodness, I don't know, 7 years later, 2021. And here I am at a point in my life where my wife is so sick of hearing me talk about this list in my phone of all these comic book movies that I have ranked. And, you know, she just sick of it. She's like, you know what? You love it so much. Why don't you start doing a podcast or a YouTube show? And I had thought about doing that for years. But what really sent me, you know, to the place where I was like, I don't know if I can do that, to I think I can do that, was, you know, a combination of two things. A buddy of mine back home has a podcast. I was on it. And then like a week or two later, I joined Andy and Darren and Rick on the M6P YouTube channel. And I did that episode, and I was like, you know what? I was a little nervous, but this was actually really fun just to have this conversation with fellow nerds. And the rest is history. Probably a few weeks later, I started my YouTube channel. And you know, I definitely don't have 10,000 followers on Facebook, but I'm all about it.
Hey man, but you kill it on the YouTubes. You do.
Yeah, totally.
Kill it.
I appreciate it.
You do. I don't just throw that out there nonchalantly.
Thank you for those kind words, sir. But I love these guys, though. These guys are awesome. They're fun to talk to. And it's also really cool to see Andy, because like I probably said earlier, we haven't, you know, seen each other in probably 10 plus years. So yeah.
Do I look older?
Actually, you know what? I really, you actually don't. I mean, you don't. I think you look the same, honestly. I have definitely look a lot older. There's a lot more gray in my beard. I'm getting the Reed Richards now. That's why I cut my hair so short.
Oh, that's distinguished. That's great. Dude, I was on a call. You know, I have to do calls at work all the time because my team's in Africa, so we're like 4, 5, 7 hours apart. And so like I was trying to look at the screen, I'm looking down at my notes and everything. I've gotten to the point in my life where I get my reading glasses on. And the guy, my subordinate, he's like, "Oh, you look so scholarly," and they made me blush and everything. I was just so embarrassed. I have to read. Jackie bought me reading glasses so that I can actually read. That's terrible.
Well, how about you, Darren? Do you remember when you kind of made that transition from a follower to a contributor?
Wow. Like, so behind the scenes, we were actually trying to figure out when I actually came on board in M6P, and I just know it's circa 2010 to 2013. And Jared doesn't remember dates either, but so like I don't know if I honestly think that, like, I just saw that you had posted something to the page, and then maybe I followed it for like a week, and then I was like, hey man, can I come on? And I sent you that message, and that's where it led to. it's kind of difficult to track for myself to track back where it started, and maybe that's I guess a testament to what the M6P has become for all of us. Is like we have so many contributors and everything. We've all been here, like most of us, over 10 years. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Except for Jonathan, but we like him. Well, Jonathan started Comic Book Cinema though with Andy.
Yeah.
So
2013.
until he
I've been
joined
here
the
11 years.
show, until he joined his first show with M6P with Rick Callahan, and Jared and I, back in what year was that again, Jonathan?
That was 2021, July.
Oh my gosh.
Now,
Post
Darren,
COVID.
I will say,
No
Darren,
wonder we landed you.
you did come on early, and I remember I gotta hand it to you, man. Like I have no idea how to administrate a website at all. And so there's so many times. And Jared, if you know him at all, like you guys all do, he pushes, man. He's like, hey, how about we do this? How about we do this? How about we he goes for no. And I didn't catch on to that early on. I said yes to a bunch of things that now he roped us all into. And and so yeah, I had no idea. And he was like, man, I got a buddy, Darren, he knows what he's doing. He's into SEO, he can administrate websites. And I was like, well, I'm way out of my depth, so we need some major help here. And you came in and you saved our bacon so many times. So thank you so much. I'm so happy that you are a part of the team, man.
Very much appreciate that.
Now, Kevin, you said you had a story about Rick, right?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he joined around the time John Durman used to write a lot of articles on the excellence and the wonderfulness of Namor. And I'm pretty sure that is what really reached out to Rick, and it touched his heart. And to find a fellow Namor fan, I think he was really happy to find that in John Durman, and I think that's when he kind of hopped on board with the M6P.
Inspirational.
Yeah, that's
anticipation-
what you get for not showing up. So
Hey,
We
for
got
the
to see that
record, I like Namor too, Kevin, MCU and 616 Namor, both.
Wow.
thank you. Yeah, I do too.
Wow.
Wait, which one's better, the Atlantean Namor or the Aztecian Namor?
I'm
And
gonna
see,
lean
there's comics.
comic book cinema guy is gonna lean cinema, man. Like I really loved Aquaman, but what the MCU did with Namor and bringing that whole Talocan to life, I thought it was really great. The music, the atmosphere, I loved it.
Okay, so back to Rick. So I saw Rick this weekend at Comic-Con, and we reminisced in anticipation of this show. I had posted some Marvel Legends in a Facebook page for sale, and he wanted to know how I was getting them so cheap. And then I told him about this website I run, and so then he joined M6P. And now we're like super good friends, and we see each other twice a year. His wife makes us tumblers. She made me a Storm tumbler. She gave me a Jim Lee tumbler this weekend. She makes Jennifer tumblers. They're great. John Coughlin, get to see him up in Chicago. Brad Allen, I consider him one of my closest friends. He wanted to be on here. We talk quite a lot. Nick Taylor, Scott Jimenez, and just because I'm very white, he'll always be Scott Jimenez to me. Even when I talk to him in person, I'm like, Scott Jimenez. It's you say the J. He says, no, you don't say the J. We've got to see like a lot of like kids be born. Andy's had 2 sons since the M6P. Wow. Nick has had kids. Darren's had kids. John's had kids. Scott has had kids. Joe has had kids. Joe we reconnected with from high school. Like there's so many. I just love the M6P. Just getting to know like Kevin said, just some different nerds and dorks to kind of talk to. It's been great.
Absolutely.
So that's what I got to say about that. It's been fun. And
also I just looked back and the first article I could find on the website is April 29th, 2014 that I wrote. So it's almost exactly 10 years.
And what was it?
Wow.
What was right?
The day.
Wow.
That was the video game breakdown that I did. I think that was one of the first things I wrote.
That was a good one.
What video game?
It was a video game breakdown where I did the Nintendo and then the Super Nintendo Marvel games.
Oh, nice, nice.
All right, so we're gonna do some. We got some M6P trivia. We usually do those Marvel cards at the end, but we're gonna do some M6P trivia. Andy and Darren, you guys can jump in too. As you guys know, I have a great memory, so all these facts are certain. All right. In what year was Marvel 616 Politics founded? Go, Darren.
2009.
Ooh, close.
Wait a second. I was way off.
Andy's gonna know, right?
You would think. I think it's August. I think it's in August.
Hey, the Facebook page says 2009.
Yes, that's going to be a further question when I say when was the Facebook page founded?
I would guess 08.
Yeah, it was 08. It was 08. And
I
then
mean,
I remember coming home from work and I was like, all these people at work are on this thing called the Facebook. I think we should get one of these Facebook pages. And I just loaded up and I told Andy, it was one of those go for no things. Like, hey, we're growing. We're going to do big things. Okay. Let's see. Marvel 616 Politics was originally only a what?
Podcast.
Only a
Podcast.
podcast. Only an
Alright.
idea. Only a glimmer in our
A
eye.
glimmer. So the Facebook page started when, Darren?
2008.
2009.
The Facebook.
The podcast
done.
was the podcast was in 08 and the Facebook was in 09.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
So
good.
during this time we came up with a product called the Marvelous Box. Do you know when that was founded?
Oh, I don't. 20,
No one knows.
2014?
I looked at receipts. 2016. That's when we sent our first one to John Coughlin,
Yep.
to Aaron Chappelle.
Yes.
Any relation to Dave?
No, not even close. And then, and my friend Eric Miller. Those were our first subs. It was a big first subscription month. In what year did Marvel 616 Politics become the M6P?
Oh, it's the same as Secret War. So 2012.
2017,
Wait,
right? Was that when
2016.
It's 7. Oh, really? Okay.
2016.
2016.
Yep. We launched the Marvelous Box in April. We changed our name in the summer.
Yeah,
Okay.
good marketing.
Right after I bought this T-shirt. Thanks.
By the way, what was the reason for changing the name, Jared?
Ooh, yeah.
Cool. Andy and I had been reading, and it just sounded like they were going to redo the Marvel Universe. It wasn't going to be the 616 anymore.
Right.
And then as we were growing too, we wanted to get the name Marvel out of our title. We
Yeah.
still wanted to be Marvel, a Marvel podcast. We'll just shorten it to an abbreviation.
Yeah, I'm surprised you remember both those reasons. That's great.
So we're on 4 social media platforms. What are they?
Insta, Facebook, podcast, and YouTube.
Twitter.
5. You're right. We're on Twitter too.
Google Voice.
So we
Like I
tweet
should
about
know that.
once a year. Oh, here's a good one. Okay. Only one episode of the podcast has not featured Andy and only Jared. Who was on the podcast with him?
It was the guy who wrote the book of the animated X-Men series.
Eric and Julia Leewald. I did a show with them. Andy was not able to make it,
Yeah.
but I was. So let's do this. And last one, how many episodes of the podcast are there?
There's a 2-parter in there. I think 9 part 1 and part 2.
Oh, well, that probably throws my numbers off. But the answer is 133. Oh, sorry, Darren. I didn't see your hand, man.
No, I was way off. It's fine.
133, there's one in the can that's not released yet. So 134 is going to be released tomorrow night, I think.
I better post 133 on the website then.
So I have a couple of ones. Okay, so we've had some guests on the podcast for anniversaries. Can I say them? I don't want to mess you up, Jared. I'm sorry.
I'm done. That was it. We have 6 minutes left on the timer.
Okay, so who were some of our special guests for some of our special episodes?
Y'all had Greg Land on one time, right?
We did. We did an interview with him. Yep.
Who's
Yep.
Mikey Sutton, by the way?
Rest in peace.
He was a Marvel scooper.
One of the best, right? Can I say that?
Yeah.
You guys personally knew him?
We were friends. I was friends with him. Yeah, I would text with him and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, Jerry was friends, but Nick Taylor followed him. I know. I did. Like the guy, man. Ooh, he would just say some crazy stuff, and then it happened. Like
Kyle Holtz.
Yep. I was talking about our wives and my parents, but yeah, you know.
Yes. Bon. Andy's mom, Bon.
Yep. And then we had our wives do some of the reviews, I think, of Hawkeye #1 by Matt Fraction and Aja, right?
Forgot
Oh,
about
I remember that. Yeah, that was a fun episode.
That might have been number 50, and I think number 100 was maybe my parents. I can't remember. All right, so last one I got. Does anybody know the song that was used for the first episode as the intro?
I'm gonna
be
guess
Tina
it was
Turner.
Rage Against the Machine, something by Rage, because Andy used to love Rage Against the Machine.
I still listen to some Rage. No,
You like that Cold Milk group?
no, it was not Neutral Milk Hotel.
Blue Man Group?
It was The Parachute Ending by Birdie Nam Nam. No one?
I don't even know who that is.
Go back and listen to the intro. The intro to #1.
Maybe we should post that, Darren. Maybe we should do like for the 10,000, since we just hit 10,000. Maybe that should be a post. Listen to how far these people have come.
we might have hit it right now. I don't know yet. We're like 24 away, so it could have happened.
That's okay.
How many YouTube episodes do you guys have?
Oh man, hold on.
Put you on the spot.
How many
Like shorts or vids or
Probably
just
just the long form videos, if you had to
Oh.
guess.
Well, you
Those are
got us
tough.
beat comic book cinema.
Yeah, those are tough to edit, Jonathan. We don't have time for that.
Yeah, I don't have time for it these days.
Well, you got to count from both YouTube channels too.
Oh, we do have an old one. Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
There's maybe 10 videos on there at most or something.
Yeah,
Because every once in a while it's the Marvel Universe versus Radioactive Man pops up in my YouTube feed. Yeah.
Oh man, I worked so hard on that. I was for sure I'd have like 10 million views, and I'm like 300.
How many times?
Still one of our best right there. I'm not just saying that, Jared. That one, sometimes it's not like I'm a fan of Imagine Dragons by any means, but I turn that one on. Yeah.
That's why I stop watching it most of the time. I'm like, oh yeah, I hate this song. That's right.
Jared, how many times have we been threatened to be sued?
I think 3. Also, here's some trivia that only Andy and Darren know. We did get a sponsorship from Marvel, and it fell through at the very last minute. They just stopped responding to our emails, but they wanted to sponsor the podcast with one of their Marvel digital games.
Strike Force, the app. Check it out.
Yeah.
They wanted
Like
us.
that.
We said no.
No.
We begged and lowered the price until they said yes, and then they stopped talking to us. Wait, these guys are too desperate. What's going on?
They needed us.
Well, cool guys. It has been a blast. It's been a great it's 16 years since doing the podcast, 15 years on Facebook. We're pumped that we're at 10,000, and we're looking forward to 20,000. And we appreciate you all being with us on the journey. Till next time, make yours the M6P.